Good morning, everybody. So let's immediately start with a dive into quality management. But first, let me just share my presentation. I will, for the sake of the time and the efficiency that we are trying to achieve in this, Tamara yesterday well said, time-boxed day, and also throughout the days, we will all try to give you all our knowledge and also skills to share. But I have to say that because of the time, I'm not able to go through the whole quality management concept as such. It would be quite impossible. But I will be here for the rest of the week. And whoever thinks that there should be more questions and that you would like to have more ideas, approaches, questions, answers about quality management, feel free to approach me. So as I see from the participant list, there are quite a number of people which are quite familiar with quality management, but for the sake of those who are also not familiar, I will just go very briefly into the presentations. The key questions I would like you to reflect on your own is something very similar that Vanya and Goran were telling you. Like, do you actually know which services are delivered by your organizations? What are the key values of the organization? How ready is the organization to change? Not only because of the COVID, but really it drove us all to the digital transformation and it boosted us, but also for the well-being of the employees, because the employees and the citizens and the users, those that can be on institutional level and also on all possible levels of stakeholders which are using your services or which are deriving their services upon your service. So are they happy? What's the well-being? Is the leadership showing commitment and devotion towards the readiness to change? And how satisfied are you with the organizational culture, you as employee? So in quality management, we will have to focus, and we will see it also throughout the sessions in this week, is that we try to to frame our values into the customer focus, into the engagement of people. So in quality management, it is highly important to ask the employees first, how do you see the organization? How do you see the processes? Do you actually know, as so well said in the multi-sectoral analysis, that the first was actually the fine-tuning of the processes and the improvement of the processes, but using agile methodology and the agile concept, and also the change management. So this is in engaging the people, but with the focus of the customer, and also to continuously improve and to do it all in a cycle again, and again. So we have the ISO here, and we have also the CAF, and also we have the EFQM model. In order to be short, I would really like you to think about the ISO. So there are metrology institutes, standardization institutes, and so many medical care or medical related public institutions which already have ISO standards in place. So the ISO 9001 is the first, like the quality management standard, but then also like the data protection standard, the 2701, which are very often and very widespread in the public administration. Just be aware that there are relevant standards available free of charge to support the fight against COVID. And so before purchasing, please ask your standardization institute if they're already translated into your language. The CAF, I believe that a lot of you know what CAF is. This is the Common Assessment Framework Model, and this is inspired by the EFQM, by the European Foundation for Quality Management model. Some would say that CAF is a tool for quality management. Some would say that CAF, the Common Assessment Framework, is a model inspired by the EFQM. So this is there since 2000. There are so many users, not to name numbers. And if you start these days, and I would encourage you to start with quality management and with the CAP, then you will have to, you can use the new revised versions. All quality management standards and models, they are regularly revised in order to improve for themselves. So there's a simplified language, it's shortened and more precise, but more important, it is focused on digitalization. It is on agility, sustainability, change management, change of the mindset and the perspectives of what's the role of the public administrations, innovation, collaboration, and what I'm very happy about also, diversity. Well, this sometimes lacks in the ISO approach because it's more straightforward. But if you are willing, you can also include all these parts. And the good thing about the CAP is that the guidelines are free of charge. You can find them on the APA network or just approach somebody of us and we will let you know where to find them. They're also translated to Bosnian, Croatian, and Serbian. At least here in Bosnia and Herzegovina, I believe you can also, some of you can use it. This is how CAP looks like. We can also come later on to that. And how to apply CAP is, those are the steps. You have to have a management decision, self-assessment group, and then you work on these 9 criteria that we just saw and 28 questions. The good thing about CAP is that it has the people on board. So your opinion is asked, and use this opportunity to address your issues and to address the good and the not so good stuff, which can be then improved. And in the CAP 2020 guidelines, you have a great questionnaire which supports you on the journey to quality management with 200 examples of assessment reports and case studies. So this is a huge added value. After you do so, you can get the effective CAP user label, very similar for the visibility, also to the ISO approach and to the certification. To close this short session about quality management is to stress a very important thing for the Western Balkan countries. So we are very often perceived like a region where we don't know what's the focus. But since several years already, I think even for 10 years now, the Western Balkan countries have shown high interest in quality management, in introduction, but not only introduction, but also in maintaining quality management because of all the reasons that I just said. So ReSPA on time recognized this interest and this readiness by the countries and made those 3 studies. It is the quality management in public administration in 2017, the feasibility report on the ReSPA being a quality management center, and then the baseline of the comparative study on service delivery in 2018. So ReSPA basically decided to lead by example, if I may say lead, you please correct me if I'm wrong. So in cooperation with a great team of KDZ Vienna, but also in cooperation with great experts in Europe, ReSPA implemented the CAP together with so many public institutions from the Western Balkan region. And it is also, ReSPA has received the PEP label this year in the pandemic time, so that's possible. And I see that quite a lot of institutions are there, and it's possible to implement and to change the organizational culture also in pandemic times when you're using the quality management standards. If you are interested in doing so, there are colleagues from ReSPA, which are also today with us here, and there's a wide range of possibility to get support from mentoring, from coaching, webinars, but also in-country support. And I've seen this support so well being implemented in countries. This is just to close the presentation. There's just a tiny reflection on what could be the benefits of quality management. First of all, we have to be focused on the mindset and the change of the mindset, and then also about the inclusion of the different opinion, and also about listening to what somebody has to say in the organization to improve it and to reach out to the citizens and to the clients and to deliver fast, reliable services which will also be easily accessible. The objective of this session is to have a lightning talk. Maybe the talk will not be that much lightning, but enlightening. I hope so. Yeah, because this is the video. I made an interview with a friend of mine. She is 200% blind since her birth on. She is very sharp-minded. I love that fact about her. She has almost 2 degrees, university degrees. She's closing the second one because she is a mother of 2. So the motherhood also is there with all her skills. And I would also like you to know that her name is Amna Alispatić. And as Amna, so many others also are in quite an interesting pool of professionals. For example, Amna is a certified trainer for sensibilization and rights for people with disabilities. And without further ado, let's have a look at the video. We trimmed it. Thank you so much, Vanya. Without Vanya, all the video would have been lost. So, and we will be able to find it in a more nice manner, fine-tuned by Vanya on the ReSPA network and the pages. So let's jump in there. Just a second. So, do you see it?
Yes.
What difficulties do you face, or maybe there are reform processes and services that I did not know about? So I would love to hear your opinion on it.
Okay, first of all, I want to say that it's really my pleasure to talk to you and to talk about public administration services, because it is extremely important to have good, accessible administration services, and in Bosnia and Herzegovina, unfortunately, it is not the case. As you said, it is a maze. For blind people, it is a maze with many entrances and only a few exits.
Nicely said.
And as a blind person, I have been experiencing many difficulties when trying to access public administration services. You mentioned motherhood. It is very difficult to do the simplest thing to report a newborn, if you are a blind person. Why? Because imagine that to report a newborn baby, you have to go to public institution, municipality building. If you do not have assistance, and in our community, there is no personal assistance provided by the state. So if you want to have an assistant, you have either to pay for it or to involve a member of your family in that process. So as a blind person, I have to have the assistant to reach the physical place where I can register a newborn baby. To reach the place, you have to overcome numerous barriers, starting from inaccessible, unaccessible environment, public transport which is not accessible, starting from entering the vehicle to lack of sound audio announcement of the stations. The access to public institutions is usually missing. It means that there are not tactile paths. The traffic lights are not sounded. So it's, as I said, it's very difficult even to reach the place. And then if you are lucky enough to have someone to assist you, and if you reach the place, then you are entering another phase of administration, of papers, documents. There is no such portal. What could the society do to improve the status and opportunities for blind people? There are actually some things I would like to recommend. And when I'm talking about accessibility, I want to point out that accessibility for the blind is accessibility for many other categories of people. What I want to say, if you move your cars from a sidewalk,
Yes.
you will not help me to move around using white cane. You will help me, but not only me. You will help mothers with children, you will help seniors, you will help everyone, because then sidewalk will really be a sidewalk. I want to tell you a few positive examples, and those examples can be the kind of recommendation how to behave and what to do.
Yeah.
For example, government of Canton Sarajevo has the web portal which is fully accessible to the blind people. And the initiative to make that web content accessible didn't come from the Association of the Blind, although we were talking about it, but from their Institute for Informatics and Statistics.
So proactive.
Proactive. And why not being proactive?
If reimagining the public service delivery, where would you start?
From the entrance of my building where I live.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and then it's a long way forward. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you.
It has been a pleasure. It has been an enrichment. And I hope that soon there will be so much more, like you said, community-based, but also systematically approaching not only persons with disabilities, but like you correctly pointed out, also for the seniors, for the moms, for the kids. And thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
That's it.
Bravo, Tihana, for this amazing film, really.
Yeah, bravo also for, I miss Judy.
I mean, I'm happy but also sad, but
Yes.
also inspired, and I think I have a feeling of responsibility.
That's basically whenever I meet with Amna and also her family. Her husband is also blind. The kids are making fun of them, and they are so much in love. And yes, so I would like to make a bridge to the to one important thing. First of all, is the comparative study on service delivery, which was led by Goran, and we delivered it 2 years now ago. And those recommendations from the service delivery study, they're still valid, both in short term, in mid-term, and also in sense of long-term achievements. We cut it out the part where Amna correctly said that we have the standards in place. This was also one of the recommendations and the findings also of the study, saying there is the convention for rights for the people with disabilities. There are also already standards which have been defined for the accessibility of web platforms, etc. So I would love to hear somebody's opinion and input. How can we actually boost the utilization of this standardization? Are there some ideas? We are mostly coming from the state level institutions, and the services are provided on the municipal level.
I think it would be great to maybe hear a bit different perspectives, apart from, of course, Miloš Đinđić. I would really like also to hear civic tech and think tank approach and perception. I think Vladan could contribute to this, because last year during the seasonal school, he was in a Serbian group presenting accessibility platform, and perhaps they have identified some details. There is, I would assume, also rich experience in NICE and Adisa from Albania, because they really made a lot of shift.
Yes.
So that's my proposal. In case anybody else has something to share or experience, it would be amazing also to hear from their side. We heard that Tamara Srzentic from the USA actually mentioned that this COVID instrument that they made in California were 100% reflecting all these accessibility standards. So if any that I mentioned would like to jump in from your space shuttles, please join us.
Come on, Vladan, I popcorn to you. Why is this important?
I think we saw in this movie the way how that kind of people think. Personally, I know a few of them who are blind, and my school friend from my primary school, his sister have Down syndrome. So I'm very close to them, and during this epidemic period, it was very tough. I am sure. Because there was a lockdown, was unable to go out. Thanks God I have a house with a little garden, so we bring his sister to my house because she can be outside. Later the government recognized this and allowed that kind of people, especially kids, to go out. As you know, last year we had this kind of challenge to help the disability people. And during this week, when Dimis told us to think about some challenge, I have some in my mind. I'm not sure it will be easy for us. Maybe Tamara can help us from United States. It's connected to Google platform. Idea is, as we know, there is Google Maps with streets, I think, for all towns. So maybe to try to implement to synergy the information and data from a system that we plan to implement, to have at least all public buildings, cinemas, theaters, municipality offices in which disability people can reach, not only in wheelchair, the other kind of disability, the blind people who can hear, just to have information in which building they can have easy access, and to mix that with Google Maps, so they will know in which way they can go. Belgrade have on the main street, they have a line with a special kind of concrete, I don't know how to say that blind people with their, yes, where they people with their what is the name? Stop.
White cane.
Or white, yes. When go and they recognize the path where they can go. So maybe we can try, and I am sure that some IT companies will recognize that and make to implement with Google Maps. So that is why I mentioned on the first day I would like to continue on this to our challenge from last year finish to make official and to make visible for all people. Let's start from Serbia, but I invite all ReSPA members to join. Maybe it will be good international project, Western Balkan project, to start from that. We don't speak about politics, about sports. Let's help disability people.
Yeah, we have actually jointly with Vladan and Serbian team, but also in a wider context with all national teams, last year drafted the basic skeleton of this project, and it has been repeated during the Open Government Partnership a global session in Ottawa in May last year, and I think it would be amazing just to have these ideas further on. I remember last year when we as a team were working on this special subject, it was really sensitive, especially when we were having a focus groups made with locals, representatives of associations of people with disabilities. We're literally thriving to get an opportunity to be active part of the society, to contribute. I'm very much grateful to all of you who have recognized this, and for the sake of inclusiveness, integrated also the wonderful experts, unfortunately having these issues, so people with disabilities. I know that DISA jointly with NICE have had this approach, and for the sake of optimizing the design of services, they have had 2 colleagues who are actually coming with this a very specific portfolio and also living these issues. And it was amazing to learn from DISA and Albanian colleagues and ICE how they actually made everything fit into the purpose, because we started this seasonal school with human-centered design. I mean, who is in the center? It's human being with all its needs, with all its characteristics, being it young or elderly, being it professional, being it migrant employee or people with disabilities. So anybody else to join this discussion, like Miloš Đinđić or colleagues from NICE and DISA?
If colleagues from NICE or DISA want to come first, yeah, I would be glad. If not,
hello.
Yep, I can say something afterwards.
Please, Lirdi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I am from DISA. I am the head of Innovation Lab department, and actually we have been strongly focused on the people with disabilities, and we work on projects focused especially on them. We worked on a project called Services Without Barriers, focused especially on those people who can hear or can't, deaf people or people who cannot see, and or people who cannot get access to the public services. Our main focus have been to make our one-stop shop centers like accessible for all of them. So the first step have been implementing changes in terms of infrastructure, like all the one-stop shop centers are suitable for this kind of people. Implementing changes in terms of logistical aspects. We in all our one-stop shop centers, we have like signs everywhere for people, for deaf people, or for we have videos that speak out loud for what kind of services they offer there. We have the queue management system. We have implemented their functionality, text-to-speech functionality, so even they can get access to them. We worked with a sign language video that explains everywhere, that explains in general what kind of services they can get there. We are preparing some manuals with signs, so they can easily get to know what the specific services they can take in our one-stop shop centers. Furthermore, we are working on Citizen Charter lately. This document has been translated in Braille language too. So we have been trying all the time to get them easily, so they can easily get access to our services. And we are continuously working with organizations, non-profit organizations and public too, in order to make them easily get all public service that we offer in our one-stop shop centers.
Clearly for this, Tihana mentioned that we did jointly on this big service delivery study. I'm proud that this team was really all enthusiastic, and I would not like to forget Slaven. Even though he's assistant, he was very contributing to all this 1 year experience, and we were witnessing the process. And I would share with you the link in the chat for this study, and with paying attention to the inspiring cases. Once we on purpose changed the best cases with inspiring, because we understood that one does not fit all, but nonetheless we think that this unique experience, which touches upon real life needs and materializes with the effect either the people are happy or unhappy, I would really advise you to go through, because sometimes we need to understand and to respect what we possess in the region, and many times it is neglected, and many times we just seek for the others from the EU or at a global scale. With all due respect to Tamara, USA, EU colleagues, I think it is equally important to pay attention on this. So thank you once again, Lirdi, and maybe just hear a bit from Miloš.
Yes, thank you, Goran, and hello to everyone. This is a very big and important topic that actually requires cooperation, collaboration among different stakeholders, government, civil society, private sector as well. Why not? So firstly, we've been running a survey for the second cycle in a row of civil society, including organizations that deal with people with disabilities and generally vulnerable groups, where people with disabilities also belong to, about how do they perceive if the service delivery providers are geographically distributed in a right way, so all people have access, if one-stop shops are easily accessible, how civil servants or civil servants who are delivering services are trained on how to communicate and let's say give treatment to people with disabilities, and these kind of different things that matter. So not only about the physical barriers, and this we do in the entire Western Balkans, and the opinion among the civil society and Serbia, in the whole region and in Serbia, prevails that accessibility issues is still not, let's say, priority in a way that they would like to see. So there is a feeling among these organizations. There's surveys, we just don't conduct them. We also organize focus groups with people who are working in the organizations who deal with the disability issues, and then make recommendations to the governments in the entire region. So this is one thing. But I would also like to say that as much as we can, we try to incorporate specific things in our own work that will help people with certain disabilities to easily, let's say, navigate digital platforms or websites. You know, nowadays it became pretty common that whatever you want to do, you build a website, you build a portal, you know, for people, especially, you know, in this whole context and talk about digitalization. And sometimes these things also do not reach people with disabilities. So incorporating specific standards and templates that will help them, starting from simple things like, you know, text-to-speech or Braille alphabet, someone mentioned, is something that we also strive to do. And I would also like to mention that because we do the analysis of a lot of portals of public institutions in the Balkans, and there is a way also to assess how accessible these websites are. There is a online tool that actually lets you filter this whole website through specific criteria and then gives you results about the accessibility. And it turns out that a lot of these portals are quite not accessible. So there is something about the design of the things that we do, and we spoke about the human-centered design and the testing and you know, prototyping that needs to be done beforehand in order to say that something is really useful. And now I'm particularly speaking about the digital portals. Okay, especially when we talk about things like e-participation portal for citizens. There is a new portal being developed for quite some time, for example, in Serbia, I know, and there have been some you know, focus groups with civil servants, with general citizens, with CSOs, etc., so they can see and test how things are working at the moment. But I think that we in the region generally like this approach to test things also with the people with disabilities, because sometimes we tend to forget that and just provide solutions that are easy maybe for us, okay, but not for everybody else. So using these tools that are available, that are free, should become something that is actually common. And before deploying your new portal, your new website, there are these steps that don't cost much, don't consume time, but are actually very good evidence-based tools to help you understand what is wrong with your project. So, and this is something that we also try to do with our online products. So
thank you, Milos, for this great contribution. I hope Ihana is satisfied with what we have provided to her with reflections.
Thank you, Goran. Also, so before we close the session, first of all, Milos, I hope we can also find then the findings of the survey. Do you know when do you expect them, or you can also later on write it in the chat? I would just like, Ernest, would you like to share something? Yeah. I would just like to close with one quite important thing that we often see now. Milos said it correctly. So if you do something for us, do it with us. Those are also Amna's words, but also the implementation gap and the rollout of positive project-based practices. So there were quite a lot, also we saw this in the study, quite a lot positive experiences with projects which were financed also by the international community, but which were then not taken up in the system. For example, having also employees, Albania is a great example where the system is proactively working. So I believe there's quite a lot that we can learn. Thank you also, Goran, for sharing the study. You have it in the chat, and as always, feel free to come back whatever, in case we should discuss a little bit more about quality management or also about this part. Thank you.